There are 50 million small-scale fishermen in the world, mainly living in Asia, Africa and Latin America. And behind these 50 million small-scale fishermen, there are another 200 million people, family members, traders, processors, etc. We're talking about a large number of people, and they are increasingly involved in conflicts with industrial fishermen who are coming to target the same fishing ground.
The Indian boats drag heavy planks behind them, scraping the seabed and scooping up everything into huge...
In South Asia, our research focused completely on the Pork Bay. And the Pork Bay is a sea area between India and Sri Lanka. Our main goal to start with was to build up a base of knowledge about the people there, how many fishermen were actually there, what were they actually doing, etc. The small-scale fishermen we were interested in Sri Lanka had been displaced because of the civil war, which had been there until 2009. And in the period in which they had not been able to go for fishing, Indian fishermen had actually crossed the border and were making use of their fishing grounds. Fishermen in the village I was working in, they were saying trawlers, the Indian trawlers, are problem number one.
Territorial boundaries must be respected and enforced to safeguard their livelihood and protect the marine environment.
The second phase, I would say, concentrated, let's say, on the institutions, on the organizational structures. What we tried to do, especially in Sri Lanka, was to help fishermen to improve their organizations, or actually to build up organizations, which would be able to negotiate with the Sri Lankan government, but would also be able to speak with one voice towards the Indian side of the Pork Bay. So our research was not aimed merely towards building up knowledge. No, it was also trying to move things forward, trying to change a situation which was clearly very disadvantageous for the small-scale fishermen in northern Sri Lanka.
Accused the Navy of harassing and even killing Indian fishermen, charges the Navy has denied. Both sides released all fishermen in their custody earlier this year.
We started to build up relations with a number of journalists, both in Sri Lanka and India, and this proved actually to be a golden way of handling the situation, because the result was that in both India and Sri Lanka, a stream of articles, newspaper articles, was written about the issue, which not only came to the attention of government, of course, but also came to the attention of the broader public. And what we started to realize was that there was a shift in public opinion was starting to take place. Well, the first thing it resulted in was that every top meeting between the Sri Lankan Prime Minister and the Indian Prime Minister, every time they started talking about the fishermen. And secondly, that the Indian government has actually started to devise plans to remove the trawl fleet from the Pork Bay. It was very useful for us to discover at a certain point that media could play an important role.
These boats were seized by the Navy when they arrested Indian fishermen poaching in Sri Lanka.
I think we were able to do something about problems which I personally think are very urgent and very important. We were able to make a difference, and I think that's wonderful.